Podcast Network, and I'm your host, Colby Peterson. On this special episode of Weber State Weekly, joining me is Sean Lewis. We're going to talk a little bit about the announcement that we've got a new head coach in Ogden. Coach Mickey Mental was announced a couple of weeks ago, and with the holidays, we've been a little bit busy, but we did want to get an opportunity to chat a little bit about this. So, Sean Lewis, thanks for taking some time to chat about the new sheriff in town in Ogden.
Well, thanks, Colby. Great to have the opportunity. For one, like all Wildcat fans, I think we're excited for this new day. We wish Jay Hill the best of luck at BYU, but it's time to turn that page and end that chapter of Weber State football history, the book of Weber State football history. And we're going to move on, and now it's the Mickey Mental era, and I'm excited to see what that means for Wildcat football.
Yeah, like you said, wish Coach Hill the best of luck, he and his family. I mean, they've given a lot to Ogden, a lot to this program. I firmly believe we should build the statue one day. Coach Hill is the winningest coach in Weber State history. His 9 seasons here have been some of the best. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to disagree with us, Sean, if we said that the Jay Hill era is the best in Weber State history. Can we comfortably say that?
Yes.
Unequivocally, yes. The Jay Hill era has been the best. We talk a lot about the golden age. That was it, folks. But turning the page, like Sean Lewis said, and now we have a new announcement and a new sheriff in town in Coach Mickey Mental. Now, Coach Mental, we talked to him earlier in the season, came to Ogden from Cleveland, from Notre Dame College, D2 school just outside of Cleveland, was the head coach there after being a longtime offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, so a role familiar to him. That's the role that he played for the Wildcats in the season this year. Offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, which we saw some growth there, but now getting Coach Hill's office and that beautiful view of Stewart Stadium. So, Sean, kind of give me your initial thoughts, man, when they made the announcement that, you know what, it's going to be Mickey Mental. There was a national search, and this is the guy we felt the most comfortable with. Talk to me a little bit about how you were feeling with that decision and the process that played out.
You know, I think it was a good process. We don't know all the details that went down. I know the fans, there were a ton of speculation about other coaches that might have come in, names that everybody wanted to see. At the end of the day, we don't know who was offered the job, who wasn't offered the job. We heard rumors of who interviewed for a job or who didn't interview for a job. At the end of the day, it wasn't just a walk down the hall and say, Mickey Mental, you're our guy. I think there was interest expressed. I think there was interest expressed from lots of different coaches. But I think the priorities of the university were in some order that we needed to maintain some sort of continuity to the Jay Hill regime. And we wanted somebody that was that had been in the program in some way. And whether we and I think there was another kind of down the list, another kind of want of somebody that had previous head coaching experience. Now, I don't think that was a deal breaker by any stretch, but I think that was something that was kind of on that checklist of things that would be nice. And so whether offers were made to other people, I don't know, but at the end of the day, Mickey was there, and he obviously must have had the best interview, and gets to take over the reins. I like the decision. My initial gut punch was, there's going to be a lot of fans that don't like this because it's another internal hire, and we are the kings of internal hires at Weber State right now.
Yes, we are.
So I could understand some frustration and some thoughts from the fans that may be disappointed in that aspect of it. But the other aspect of it is he's only been in the program for 1 year. He comes in with a 16-2 D2 head coaching record, took his team to the playoffs, elevated his offense in those at Notre Dame College. And at the end of the day, he's the one that has the job. And so we need to support him no matter what. And so I think he's a breath of fresh air because he's got enough, having been in with Jay Hill for a season. He's got a taste of what the Wildcat tradition has been and what the Jay Hill era has been. And I think the most exciting thing for me, Colby, is that from what I understand, all of the assistant coaches have stayed on. And so if you're going to have a head coach transition, I think that's about the best that you could ask for, because it means all of your recruiting is staying in place and all of your schemes and the strategy should be more similar to what we've experienced than different. And for Wildcat fans that have liked, the defense and what the defense has been doing, other than Jay Hill, that's staying the same. For those that liked the new offense that we saw last year and saw the strides that Bronson Barron took at quarterback, again, we're going to see those same things next year. So I think what we're seeing is a refresh on the same thing, but in a good way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I agree 100%, Sean, that like Weber State has been the kings of the internal hire, right? But I think that in this case, internal hire makes a lot of sense because of all the
It does.
programs on campus, football has performed really well over the past few years. And so, I mean, aside from certain other shows that we do, volleyball and softball, football has, brought in the hardware, right? And
Yeah.
so if we're going to hire internally anywhere, this is the place where it makes the most sense. So I'm with you, Sean. That's like, listen, yeah, it's an internal hire, but overall, this is a place where you don't want to tip over the apple cart. You like the way things are going. We just ran into a difficult Montana State team in the second round. The Wildcats were definitely at least a quarterfinal team, if not better, this year. So you don't want to mess that up. The formula is good. I also want to point out, doing some research, that Coach Mickey Mental's offense this season was the best in the Jay Hill era. They averaged 2 more points per game than even the 2017 offense, which was, a field goal away from heading to the semifinals and, potentially facing South Dakota State that year. And who knows what would have happened. But great strides were made offensively in just one season. Like you said, Sean, quarterback position has improved greatly. And we did see Bronson Barron transfer out to Western Kentucky. Wish him the best of luck out there. I think he's going to have a good time out there. But we have some really good recruits coming in that have already signed. And I think that they will be in capable hands with Coach Mental, some good quarterbacks coming in from Southern California. So overall, I like it because it's like, listen, we're not going to change a bunch of stuff. A lot of folks are staying on. Basically, everyone is staying on except for the head guy and Coach Jay. So for me, great, no problem. Give Coach Mickey Mental the reins. Let him do what he's going to do. I think that the Wildcats will still be in a position to win football games in the Big Sky Conference come next season.
Well, and the proof is going to be in the pudding, right? We saw that. This may be a he who must not be named situation.
Don't do it.
Not the one you're thinking of, but Jody Sears, right?
Okay.
Everybody was high on Jody Sears when everybody wins the press conference, but
Sure.
after 3 years, the proof was that he was over his head, right?
Yep.
I don't think we're going to have a return of that, and I'm not afraid to say that I texted people that I know in Weber State's administration and said, look, I don't know necessarily who you're going to hire, but you've got to nail this hire because of all the sports that we have, this is the one that you guys need to get right. And we need to make sure that we've got somebody that can win football games and continue the trajectory, because that's what happens when a new head coach comes on, right? It's a fork in the road, and you either elevate or you decrease in trajectory. And none of us wants to decrease. None of us wants to go back to the Jody Sears era, which was a dark time in Weber State football history. But we want to take us to the next step, which is a trip to Frisco. And I don't know about everybody else. I'm saving up for a trip to Frisco. I don't know if it's going to be next year. I don't know if it's going to be in 10 years. I want to take that trip and see that field painted with Wildcat purple in the end zone and go to a championship game. So that's the goal. And I hope that I think Mickey Mental comes in with those expectations and with those dreams and is a qualified coach. And again, he's maintaining what we liked and has an opportunity to see what we've liked about Wildcat football and maybe a chance to change some things. Do you know what I'm really disappointed about, Colby, though, is special teams. I think we're going to see a little bit less of the rolling the dice on 4th and 8 from the 45.
Yay. I do love Jay Hill special teams trickeration. It's a thing of beauty, and I hope you're wrong, Sean, because like you said, it's been a hallmark of Weber State football in the Jay Hill era. I mean, they have to be ready for anything when it comes to punts, when it comes to all that stuff.
Hmm.
Coach Jay Hill always kept those folks on their toes. They had to prepare for those things. It wasn't a going through the motions kind of a thing. So I hope that continues. But you're right, it may decrease. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Another thing I was going to say was that about Coach Hill was that he felt comfortable leaving the program now to take this opportunity down in Provo. No doubt, Coach Hill could have left at any time within his 9 seasons at the helm of Weber State. Highly sought after coach who had a lot of success. Folks knew that if you hired Coach Jay Hill, you were going to have success. And so I think that, Cougar fans were going to find that out very, very quickly. It sort of galled me to watch people on Twitter say, oh, I have to go look up this Jay Hill guy and see what he's all about, when he's a friggin' legend in Ogden. Build the statue, as I'm going to continue to refrain until the day they do it. And so it just sort of like bothered me a little bit to be like, you don't know who Jay Hill is? Like, do you just hate football? Like, what's your deal, man? Like, you don't know who Jay Hill is. So watching them come to the revelation that, oh yeah, he's really good. Like, yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? You gave up more points to Utah State than we did this year. What do you guys think? Who is a good defensive mind? Yeah, it's Jay freaking Hill, the guy you just hired. So I think that Coach Hill leaving at this time, feeling comfortable enough to take that opportunity to take, his career to the next level, is also an indicator of where he felt the program was and hands that he would be leaving it in, because it seems like, because he took no assist, he took no coaches from the staff. Everybody sort of remained in place here in Ogden. He didn't take anybody with him to Provo. I think that's also an indicator of how he felt about the staff and about, where he wants to leave the program. Because I think that for Coach Hill, he's not like a he who shall not be named, where he's just going to cut and run and take the money. That's not what Coach Hill is about. And it sort of galled me as well when people on social media talked about that Coach Hill was, he was selling out, that he was taking the money. And it's like, do not say those words. Coach Hill coached in Ogden for 9 seasons. His skill set, obviously, he could have made triple what he was making as a head coach in Ogden, and he chose not to. So I don't want to hear that Coach Jay Hill took the money and run, because it's just not true. He felt comfortable leaving it where it is, and I think that gives Wildcat fans an indicator of what they can expect next season and the transition that we're going to see come spring ball.
Well, and I don't know if it's that simple, Colby, because I don't know that it's Jay Hill's like, hey, I can leave this in a good place. I think he did leave it in a good place. I mean, he
I think he
definitely
did.
left it better than he found it, right?
Certainly.
A playoff team is a lot better than a 2-win team, which is where he was 9 years ago, right?
Certainly.
So we need. I'm not sure it's as simple as Jay Hill just saying, hey, we're fine. You've got good people in place, right? Somebody comes to me and offers me 3 times the money to do technically less work.
Yeah, less work.
That's hard to turn down. I don't care what industry you're in, right? So that's I think the money had a lot to do with it. I think 9 years is a long time for a football coach, and
It is.
I sense that Jay just, everybody needs a change of scenery every once in a while, right? And then, but good, bad, indifferent, whatever. I think he felt it was time for a change, and that maybe the message wasn't getting across, or whatever it was. But luckily, as Wildcats, we didn't see a downturn, right? We were still a playoff team. We were still basically at the same spot, but maybe there needs to be another injection of energy to get us to that next level, right? And so this is all just speculation on my part. And I again, we wish Jay and Sarah and family all the best in what they're doing, and doing what's best for them and their family, and getting the
All love
security
in the
that they
O,
need
right?
financially. Yeah, there's
All
no
love in the O
no
for the Hill
no
family.
love lost here.
Always
Um,
welcome.
but this is about Mickey Mental, and we've got to move on, and we've got to show him the support, and just like every head coach that comes through Ogden and Weber State University, we're going to give them a season or two and see the proofs in the results, and we'll see if Mickey Mental can be a head coach, if he can take that next step and put the Wildcats further and deeper into the playoffs. If he can, great. If not, you know, we'll see what happens, but I'm everybody wants the press conference here. So I'm excited for next season, next fall. I'm excited for the continuity. I'm excited for the continuation of improved offense, and hopeful that defense and special teams will remain at the same excellent spot that we've seen them in the past.
Certainly. So that's kind of it for us, folks. Talk a little bit about head coach Mickey Mental being announced and sort of the way forward for the Wildcats. We'll have more football content for you as the months wear on, as we get closer to the spring training for spring practice, spring ball, all that stuff. Signing day in football will be in a few weeks, and so we'll talk a little bit more about that, do a little bit of recruiting special, and also we've got a special treat for you folks coming up soon. We're going to be interviewing former Wildcat quarterback Jadrian Clark, a little bit about his career and in Europe playing American football and kind of how that's going, and he's going to explain it all to us and talk about that. So plenty of football content coming up this spring, so keep your ears tuned and your eyes peeled for that. But for now, we'll leave it there. So, Sean, appreciate you for talking a little football tonight before we move on to the task at hand, which will be men's hoops. Any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
Congratulations, Coach Mental. Glad you were able to stay in Ogden. We look forward to much success. That's it.
100%. 100%. All love to Coach Mental. Wishing him the best of luck. Wishing him all the success in Ogden. And so we'll wrap it up like we always do, man. Weber State, Weber State.
Great, great, great.